Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, you stole the gold chip and now our computer is slow. I'm not a wizard, yet. I want it done now. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You stole the gold chip and now our computer is slow. You guys liked my last story of tech support bliss from the almost prehistoric 90s era. Another story on TFTS about a less than competent user reminded me of this. It's another one about providing IT consulting for a Tier 1 auto parts maker. This would have happened in late 1996 or 1997. Sorry, it's a bit of a saga. There's a funny/absurd payoff at the end, with a little dash of mystery too. Teaser at the top and TLDR at the bottom. Teaser. Irrational client employee is irrational. Background. The big three car manufacturers each had electronic systems to publish their parts orders and forecasts for each day/week. For the following few months, parts orders would vary due to differing quantities of options and trim packages ordered by the dealerships. The materials department at my client was responsible for accessing each automaker's system on a regular basis. It was at least once a week, but probably more. I don't want to guess. Electronically acknowledge the updated orders and forecasts, plan their inventory logistics and place requisite orders with their own, Tier 2, suppliers. These were the days before ubiquitous internet and SSL/HTTPS was the accepted standard. Each automaker had implemented what amounted to a private, text-based BBS system. They also mandated that specific, in some cases proprietary, terminal software be used. To be clear, these computers were each dialing in via modem to access these systems. Nothing was going over the internet. The materials department had to designate a separate computer for each automaker because the mandated software from one automaker was incompatible with the software from another. Each computer was running a specific, old version of DOS, as required by the mandated software. These computers were so important that they were not connected to the corporate LAN/WAN, which didn't have internet anyway, just access to shared company resources, and were not meant for any use other than connecting to the auto manufacturer's systems. It's important to note that my client was subject to a fine and a demerit to their rating, which would hurt them during contract review if they didn't electronically acknowledge the updated orders/forecasts within a certain time window of publishing. Lastly, I didn't sell them these PCs. I'm not sure where they came from. They were cheap clones that were acquired and set up long before I was in the picture. Now our story begins. One day I got a call from the materials department admin. I don't remember his exact title. Everyone in the department reported to him, and he reported to the department manager. One of the big three automakers had sent over a package with new software, and he needed me to get it set up. I had recently repaired one of their PCs used for a different automaker, so I was familiar with the department's setup. In that case, the power supply failed and took the RAM with it. I replaced those parts and got them to approve a CPU upgrade, but there were no software changes. Remember this PC, we'll call it $PC1. It will come back into the picture at the end of the story. The repair for $PC1 had gone smoothly, and there were no subsequent issues, so the materials department admin was confident that I could handle this task. The setup for this other computer was a little more involved. The new software required Windows, I can't remember if it was 3.1 or 95, and I had to extensively upgrade the computer to meet the minimum system requirements, both for Windows and the proprietary software. I wanted to sell them a new PC, but these were the days when old-school managers thought of IT as a one-time cost, like hiring a plumber to fix a leak, instead of an ongoing investment. They wanted it done as cheaply as possible. They didn't care/understand the implications of me cobbling together a mission-critical PC, with many old and or obsolete recycled parts, and no warranty. To give them some credit, back then, a new PC, with good parts, could cost $3,000 plus. I remember spending $880 on just 16 megabytes of 60ns eDOSIM RAM for the 133 MHz Pentium PC I built for myself in early 1996. At the time, it was a good deal. So, I can understand why someone who didn't understand the difference would opt for a solution that cost 50% less. As I recall, I upgraded the CPU to a faster 486, or maybe even a 486 clone, like a Cyrix or AMD, replaced the RAM with higher capacity SIMs and upgraded the hard drive. I'm pretty sure I had to install a better graphics card too, but I don't remember. The interesting thing about this upgrade was that the new proprietary terminal software used a proprietary TCP/IP implementation, which they also supplied on floppy disks. This new terminal software was not compatible with other TCP/IP implementations, like Trumpet Windsock or the one eventually offered by Microsoft. And this proprietary TCP/IP software was not compatible with web browsers or other internet software like ICQ or standard email clients. So, this proprietary TCP/IP stack had to be installed in lieu of any other TCP/IP software and could not be installed simultaneously. This should not have been a problem because the PC was only supposed to be used for checking parts orders. After I completed the hardware/software upgrades, I got the various materials department employees that would be using it to test it and agree that everything was working. I heard some rumblings from them that they were looking forward to using this upgraded computer to surf the web, a novelty back then. They were going to ask someone who worked in the factory to get it on the net, which would have meant to install a browser, configure a dial-up connection to an ISP, etc. I was a little shocked by this. I made it very clear to them, and I spoke to everyone in the department to explain that the automaker's software was not compatible with regular internet software. I showed them the documentation from the automaker which stated this. They all said they understood. A few days later, the first call came. It was the materials department manager, $MDM. $MDM, hey, Shmosef, this new computer you sold us is nothing's working. We can't check our orders. Get down here immediately. If we get fined, we're suing you. The call came from the same manager who refused to pay for a new PC, despite my warning that the upgraded PC would not have a warranty. From his description, it sounded like the computer was dead. He was really mad, and I chose not to use that moment to correct him about it not being new or remind him that there was no warranty. It was written into the PO, so I knew I was covered. He refused to answer any questions over the phone and just kept demanding that I get down there. It was over an hour before I could get there. I found very quickly that the computer was working just fine. But someone had gone ahead and installed a web-compatible TCP/IP stack, a web browser, etc. The employees were not even trying to hide what they did. That ridiculous viral dancing baby video was playing in a loop on the screen. I think it was an animated GIF in a browser window. This one employee, we'll call her $SL, for Smart Lady, was totally entranced. Watching this CGI baby dance made her so happy. She just kept laughing and clapping along. She didn't want to let me get on the computer to fix the problem. The proprietary terminal software was still installed, and it could dial out, but it wasn't able to establish a connection with the automaker's parts system. Nothing's working. $MDM had already left for the day. I wanted to report this to someone, but everyone high up enough to care and do something about it had left for the day. So I fixed it. I uninstalled all the extra software that had been installed, deleted the internet dialer config, uninstalled and reinstalled the proprietary TCP/IP software in case it was corrupted, let the employees get on the system to acknowledge their updated parts orders, then reminded them that I had warned them about this and, since they were adults, assumed that they had learned their lesson. Big mistake. I've never been great with handling my clients' office politics. I didn't want to go out of my way to get them in trouble with their boss. They agreed to not do this again, and I decided to let the issue go. But, about a week later, I got another call. $MDM, hey, Shmosef, your computer is broken again. Get down here and fix it. Now. I tried to have a conversation with him, but he wasn't having it. I tried to explain what happened last time and to tell him he had to talk to his employees about this. He wouldn't listen. I asked him to wait for me so we could talk in person. He agreed. But when I got there, $MDM was gone. The dancing baby was there though. Dancing and spinning. And $SL was clapping and laughing. The thing is, I knew that none of the regular materials department employees were competent enough to install a web-compatible TCP/IP stack and browser, etc. I asked them who was doing it for them so I could explain directly to stop doing it. They refused to tell me but promised not to let this happen again. Then it happened again. This time, $MDM was away, and one of the department employees called me. Before I headed out, I called their controller, $RG4 reasonable guy, and asked that he wait for me so I could speak to him. I got over there, saw the dancing baby and fixed the issue. Again. The department employees still refused to tell me who was installing the web software, but I had an idea for how to figure it out. Before I deleted the dialer config, I checked the settings. The dialer had the ISP's username cached. I could tell from the username exactly who was doing this. We'll call him $CV for collateral victim. He usually worked during an evening shift, and a week or two later, when I had a chance to speak to him, I found out that $SL kept asking him to install the software. She never told him that there were any issues. The controller kept to his word and waited for me. $RG, hi Shmosef, I've been meaning to speak to you. The computers in the materials department are very important, and $MDM tells me that the new computer you sold us is a lemon, and that you have to keep coming in to fix it. $RG was a legitimately reasonable guy. Just prior to this issue, he'd had me build a maxed out PC for him. He spent around $5,000 on it. He wanted to watch me build it and explain everything as I went. It took several nights to build because he asked so many questions. I told him what was really happening and begrudgingly told him it was $CV that was installing the software. I didn't yet know that $SL was repeatedly asking him to do it. I wasn't trying to get anyone in trouble, but this had to stop. And the issue did stop. But $SL tried to get revenge. Some time went by. The emergency calls from the materials department stopped. I was still visiting this customer quite often for various projects. One day, $RG called me into his office. $RG, so I spoke to $SL, and she denies everything. $Me, I'm just glad that the emergency calls have stopped. You've paid all my labor for the visits, so we're even. $RG, $SL is claiming that $PC1, a PC you repaired a long time ago, isn't working properly. $Me, that's the first I'm hearing about it. What's the issue? $RG, $SL says it's running slow. She says you stole the gold chip and now it's running slow. $Me, what does she mean? That doesn't make sense. There's no such thing as a gold chip. I didn't steal anything. $RG, $SL says it's running slow. She says you stole the gold chip and now it's running slow. $Me, we built a computer together. Did you see a gold chip? $RG, no. $Me, the chips inside a computer are made of silicon. We spoke about this when we built your computer. The main CPU chip is about the size of your thumbnail. Everything else is thermal packaging and space for the pins. Silicon. Copper. Ceramic. No gold. The chip is silicon. That's where the name Silicon Valley comes from. $RG, yeah. $Me, think about how much a block of actual gold would be worth. There's no gold chip. Why would gold make a computer faster? She's never reported an issue before this. Did you ask $MDM if she's ever reported this? Do you need me to follow up on this somehow? $RG, no, no, no. Let's drop it. And so we dropped it. But for months, I would hear whispers about it from various office staff or factory floor employees. They would ask me why I took the gold chip, and that $SL warned them to watch me if I had to fix their PCs, because I might steal the gold chip. I had to keep telling people that there was no such thing as a gold chip. Everyone, why would $SL lie? Me, she thinks I took her dancing baby away for spite. All this time, I never had to interact with her, but I saw $SL in the materials department office many times. She never said anything to me directly about the gold chip. One day, I had to be in the materials department office to fix a computer. I called her over and asked her to show me the gold chip. She didn't have anything to say. I tried to make peace. Me, listen, I know that you're upset that you can't have the dancing baby. But you're claiming that I stole something. That's not fair. You know that I didn't steal anything. $SL, you told $RG that I messed up the computer. I had nothing to do with it. Me, you kept asking $CV to help you get the dancing baby back on your computer. I'm sorry, but the emergency calls had to stop. $SL, I didn't do that. I had nothing to do with that. Me, so, where did the dancing baby come from? Why was it on the computer every time I got called in? $SL, I don't care about any of that. I know what I saw. You were supposed to fix the broken computer, but you stole the gold chip, and now it's slower than ever before. Me, there's no such thing as a gold chip. $SL, I know what I saw. Me, so why did you wait until after the dancing baby issue to report it? $SL, I know what I saw. Me, you are remembering wrong. The computer died. I had to replace the old RAM and power supply. I also upgraded the CPU. It's faster than it ever was. I did take parts out of it, but not to steal anything of value. They were dead or obsolete. $SL, I know what I saw. Me, okay, I guess we're done here. Epilogue and a possible solution to the mystery. Well, friends, if you're still here, thanks for sticking around. I don't think I ever spoke to $SL again. I didn't hear any more rumors about gold chips, and she ended up leaving the company a few months later. I think she found a job that was less of a commute. It took years of introspection, but I think I might have figured out what she was talking about. Back in the 90s, it was very common for aluminium CPU heat sinks to be anodized, especially for CPUs that did not need a fan. I don't specifically remember this, but it's possible that the CPU I upgraded had a heat sink that was anodized with a yellowish color. If so, $SL might have confused the heat sink for a gold chip. But it's just as likely that she made the whole thing up to try to get back at me for taking the dancing baby away. $SL, if you're out there, it's been over 20 years. Tell us the truth about the gold chip. Inquiring minds want to know. I'm not a wizard, yet. A little background first. This is a story from my very first IT job, as an intern on the service desk at a hospital. This was basically just a call center for Tier 1 support, although we did have permissions in order to fix lots of different stuff. Must go fast when working with doctors as it's always life or death with them. Okay, not all the time, but you get my point. I had just finished my couple weeks of training, and had shadowed someone for several days. This was within my first week of actually answering phones, and I think it was my first couple of days even. Okay, on with the show. Players. $Me equals yours truly, $N equals nurse. Me, IT, this is Righteous Ranger, how can I help you today? N, I can't get into Citrix. Me, let's see if we can get that fixed for you. This issue happened all the time and usually it only takes a few minutes to resolve. I made a little small talk, ran through the KB, kicked the user's connection, everything looked as it should, and go to end call. Me, okay, I think that's got you set. just give it a few minutes, and you should be able to log right in. N. Okay, thanks. Click. A few minutes later dash. N. Calling back. Hi, I still can't get into my Citrix? Me, I'm very sorry about that. Give me just a second to get my detailed process pulled up so I can get this resolved for you. N. Don't you just hit a button and it's fixed? Obviously irritated. Me, no ma'am, I'm not a wizard. That's unfortunately not how it works. Give me just a minute and we'll get this sorted. Cue me frantically asking for help while on mute because I couldn't find the solution in the KBs and had never run into this issue before. We finally got her up and running, but it required a remote session to the computer to end all related processes/connections and a reboot for good measure. My colleagues got a good laugh because of me, and I gained a lot of experience. I want it done now. A nice client to round off the day. Most things will be generalized for discretion and ease purposes. Hi, I did the thing to get the document on 05.31, but I need it today, so that I can go to my daughter's birthday party tonight. I tried downloading the electronic app, but it only says that I have registered. Please help. Me, the issue is that the app looks up an electronic version of the physical document. As no document has been issued yet, it cannot display data. The processing time for it is 8 days under normal circumstances. You are clearly wrong because my friends already had it available as soon as they did the thing. Me, then that is an anomaly that they should get investigated, as something is most likely wrong with it. Listen, I just want you to get it done now. It wouldn't do that of all people. Her mother is not there. Me, again, under the best case scenario, the processing time is 8 days, plus postage. The latter obviously does not matter for the app. However, as currently there are literal millions of these being issued, it can easily extend by as much as a week. I did not ask for excuses. Get it done or tell me who I should call so it gets done. Me, was said in a much more professional manner, but this is the gist of it. Lady, you are demanding from me, a person who has no access or authorization to any of the relevant systems or departments, to kick the entire government into high gear and cut your processing time in half by somehow letting you jump the queue, just so you can attend your daughter's birthday party. Even though it is past 1500 hours, and government business hours end at 1300 hours on Fridays, so even if I had all that power, it is physically not possible to do, as no one is working anymore. Yes. Me, no. Also, there is no prescribed way for jumping the queue, so I can't give you a way for that either. Well, have a nice weekend. I sure am glad that you are sitting there for nothing. Seriously, if I was such a big shot, why would I be wasting my time on you?